In the wake of global demonstrations protesting the killing of George Floyd and police brutality, Hollywood is facing a reckoning. Many people are demanding it rethinks how TV shows and movies portray police and the criminal justice system. Earlier this week, Paramount Network, a division of Viacom CBS, canceled Cops after a 33-year run. A&E Network followed suit by ending Live PD. Both shows involved camera crews following real police departments in their everyday activities. Critics say the shows glorify the actions of officers. Still, the four major TV broadcast networks rely heavily on scripted content related to police, crime, and the legal system. This past fall, ABC, NBC, and Fox each dedicated 3 primetime hours, Sunday to Friday, to shows in these categories. CBS gave 11 hours to those shows, and that, of course, doesn't take into account the countless hours dedicated to procedural marathons on cable channels. For more on portrayals of police on TV, I want to bring in Kathryn VanArendonk. She's a senior writer for Vulture, joining me from Morristown, New Jersey. Welcome, Kathryn. So nice to have you with us. You recently wrote about this issue in a piece entitled "Cops Are Always the Main Characters." So I want to start with some background. Why are there so many of these police TV shows, and do they frame the way Americans look at police activity?
Yeah, there are so many police shows on television, in part because there have always been at least some. Some of the earliest television programs involved cops, particularly Dragnet, which was developed from a radio program and then became a really popular TV show. And what you have is a cycle of audience taste, where first you have a police show on TV, audiences learn to like that kind of show, they get used to those rhythms, they are familiar with those kinds of characters, and then once you know that you have an audience for shows like that, you make more of them. And when they are, a demonstration of how popular they are, they become more and more a part of the TV schedule, and you get to a place where we are now, where primetime network TV is dominated by police procedurals, so much so that it can be sometimes hard to find things to watch that are not about cops.
It's a really interesting angle that you probe in your article, because you write that viewers have been locked into the police perspective by networks. So tell us exactly how police procedurals have shaped Americans' views of police for, more than a generation now.
Sure. So when you think about it, when you spend many, many hours of your life watching TV, and that TV is showing you cops as the protagonists over and over and over again, you are growing increasingly comfortable and familiar, and you feel more related to those characters, their needs, their desires, the things that they care about the most are the kinds of things that you just get used to caring about. And even in cases where police characters on TV are corrupt, they do heinous, violent things, as has often happened on more like prestige television shows in the last couple of decades, you are still stuck inside those perspectives as the ones that you spend the most time with. You spend so much less time as a TV viewer thinking about the regular lives and needs and desires of, say, a community member who is often policed. If you could imagine what it would be like to watch a procedural where instead of making it about the cops who are constantly trying to catch the people they think of as criminals, if instead your main character was somebody who just gets pulled over again and again and again by cops, you would have a very different perspective on what it feels like to be policed in America rather than to be the one doing the policing.
I feel like that show The Wire, though, was able to take that POV and twist it around a little bit. Would you agree?
Yeah, there are some really interesting counterexamples on television. The Wire is one of them. Particularly as you get into later seasons, you spend a lot more time, and that show is very good at depicting the giant systems that really play into this kind of dynamic. But one of the really interesting things about The Wire is that even that show begins with a cop. And on almost all of HBO's promotional material for The Wire, you see Jimmy McNulty, who is a white male police officer. And I think it's not a mistake that the showrunner of that and creator of that show, David Simon, understood that this is how audiences would be most comfortable entering into that space, even if he's later trying to dismantle it.
So interesting. And, you know, earlier we spoke about the fact that Cops and Live PD are being canceled, but those are sort of reality-based shows. Are the creators of scripted police shows speaking out about change?
Yes, we are starting to see some of these creators talking about what it will be like. It is sort of interesting because most TV production has ceased right now. And so there is a weird buffer time where instead of making the TV, people have this break to be really thinking about what this could be like when they do come back. And so the showrunner of SWAT has mentioned that this is something that is going to become increasingly a part of his show. Warren Leight, the showrunner of Law & Order SVU, one of the most popular and long-running franchises, has been talking about how much he feels like their show needs to reconsider how they depict Black Lives Matter and racial justice in New York. It feels insufficient to me at this point, but I am hopeful that this will continue to be a conversation for most TV creators.
Absolutely. It will be interesting to see those changes manifest. All right, Kathryn VanArendonk, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.